Aja Wilson just lost it after EuroLeague dropped bombshell numbers proving Caitlin Clark is worth 10 times more than her. And the receipts are undeniable. This isn't drama, this is cold hard cash doing the talking, and what Wilson said next has the entire basketball world on fire. The WNBA just got hit with a financial earthquake that nobody saw coming. Caitlin Clark, the rookie who turned the league upside down last season, just signed a contract with EuroLeague that's shattering every record we thought existed in women's basketball. We're talking about $100 million. Not a typo. $100 million. And when Aja Wilson, the reigning MVP and face of the WNBA for years, caught wind of these numbers and what they really mean, her reaction was raw, unfiltered, and honestly, completely understandable. But here's where it gets complicated, because this isn't just about two players anymore. This is about the entire business model of women's basketball getting flipped on its head, and not everyone is ready for what comes next. Let's set the stage properly because you need to understand just how wild the situation actually is. For decades, women's basketball players have been fighting for recognition, fair pay, and respect in a sports world that constantly undervalues them. The WNBA salary cap maxes out at around $240,000 for supermax contracts. Read that again. The absolute highest paid players in the WNBA make less than $250,000 per season. Meanwhile, guys in the NBA are signing contracts worth $40, $50, even $60 million per year. The disparity isn't just massive, it's embarrassing. Aja Wilson has been at the top of this mountain for years now. She's a two-time MVP, a champion, a gold medalist, and by every metric that matters in basketball, she's elite. She's the player the WNBA has marketed, promoted, and built storylines around. She's done everything right. She's dominated on the court, carried herself with class off it, and has been the face of women's basketball for the better part of the last 5 years. Her endorsement deals with Nike and other brands are solid, don't get me wrong, but we're still talking about numbers that pale in comparison to what male athletes with similar accomplishments pull in. Then Caitlin Clark enters the picture. This girl came out of Iowa with a college career that was nothing short of legendary. She broke scoring records that people thought were untouchable. She brought March Madness viewership numbers that rivaled men's games. She had an entire nation watching her play, and she did it with a style that was electric, confident, and undeniable. When she entered the WNBA draft, everyone knew she was special, but nobody could have predicted what would happen next. Clark's rookie season was astronomical. She brought viewership to the WNBA that the league had never experienced before. Games she played in had ratings that doubled, sometimes tripled, what the league normally saw. Arenas were packed. Her jersey sales crushed records. Her trading cards started selling for thousands of dollars, with some rare editions going for 5 figures. Brands started throwing money at her like she was LeBron James in a skirt. We're talking about endorsement deals that were reported to be in the tens of millions before she even played her first professional game. But here's where the plot thickens. The WNBA, despite all this attention, despite all this money flowing in because of Clark, still couldn't pay her what she was actually worth. The salary cap doesn't care about your marketability. The structure doesn't bend because you're bringing in millions of new fans. So Clark, like many WNBA players before her, had to look overseas for real money. Except when Clark looked overseas, what she found was something nobody in women's basketball had ever seen before. EuroLeague came calling with an offer that rewrites the entire playbook. $100 million over multiple years. To put this in perspective, that's more money than most NBA players will see in their entire careers. That's generational wealth. That's change the game type of money. And it's all guaranteed to a 22-year-old woman who just finished her rookie season. Now here's the part that sent shockwaves through the basketball community. When EuroLeague released the financial breakdown and the marketing projections that justified this contract, they didn't just talk about Clark's value in isolation. They compared her market impact to other top players in women's basketball. And the numbers they put out there showed that Clark's value, in terms of sponsorship potential, merchandise sales, viewership draw, and international marketability, was approximately 10 times higher than Aja Wilson's. 10 times. Higher. Not a little more. Not double. 10 times. That's the kind of gap that doesn't just hurt feelings. It challenges everything you thought you knew about your own worth and your place in the sport. So, let's break down exactly what makes Caitlin Clark this valuable, because it's not just hype and it's not just luck. The girl has a perfect storm of factors that brands and leagues are willing to throw stupid money at. First, there's the playing style. Clark doesn't just score, she does it from everywhere on the court. She pulls up from 30 feet like it's a layup. She throws passes that make you rewind the footage because you can't believe what you just saw. She talks trash, she celebrates big moments, she plays with an edge that makes her must-watch television. In a sport that sometimes gets criticized for being too fundamental and not flashy enough, Clark brings entertainment value that transcends just being good at basketball. Second, there's the demographic appeal. Clark is young, relatable, and she connects with Gen Z in a way that's organic. Her social media presence is massive. Her highlights go viral not just in sports circles, but in mainstream pop culture. She's bringing in fans who never watched women's basketball before. And more importantly, she's bringing in fans who will spend money on merchandise, tickets, and subscriptions to watch her play. Third, there's the international factor. Basketball is a global sport, and EuroLeague sees Clark as the key to unlocking markets in Europe, Asia, and South America that have largely ignored women's basketball. Her name recognition after the college tournament run is worldwide. Brands in countries where the WNBA barely registers see Clark as a legitimate crossover star who can sell products and fill arenas. Fourth, and this is huge, there's the trading card and memorabilia market. Clark's rookie cards are selling for insane amounts of money. We're talking about a Prism rookie card going for over $10,000 in some cases. Her autographed merchandise is fetching prices that rival established NBA stars. This creates a revenue stream that goes beyond just what she does on the court. Collectors and investors see her as a long-term asset, and that drives value through the roof. Now let's talk about A'ja Wilson's perspective in all this, because it's important to understand where she's coming from. Wilson has been the standard bearer for women's basketball excellence for years. She's won back-to-back MVPs. She led the Las Vegas Aces to championships. She's represented Team USA in the Olympics and brought home gold. By every traditional metric, she's done everything you're supposed to do to be considered the best and most valuable player in the league. Her endorsement portfolio is respectable. Nike has her as a signature athlete. She's got deals with other brands that bring in solid money by WNBA standards. Her salary with the Aces is at the supermax level. But when you add it all up, her total annual earnings from salary and endorsements are estimated to be somewhere in the range of $5 to $7 million per year. That's nothing to sneeze at, but when you stack it up against what Caitlin Clark just signed for, the gap is staggering. Wilson's reaction when she learned about the EuroLeague numbers and how they specifically compared her value to Clark's was captured in several interviews and social media moments. She didn't hide her feelings. She was visibly frustrated, emotional, and candid about how difficult it is to process being told that another player is worth 10 times what you are when you've been the face of the league and the most dominant player for years. In one particularly raw moment, Wilson talked about how she's sacrificed, grinded, and represented the league at the highest level, only to watch a rookie come in and immediately eclipse everything she's built financially. She didn't take shots at Clark personally, but she was honest about the pain of feeling undervalued despite her resume. She questioned what more she could have done, what she's still doing, and why the market seems to have decided that her accomplishments don't carry the same weight as Clark's potential and star power. This is where the conversation gets really uncomfortable for everyone involved. Because Wilson isn't wrong to feel hurt. She's not wrong to question the system. But at the same time, market value isn't always about fairness or who deserves what based on merit. Market value is about what people will pay, what draws attention, and what moves merchandise. And right now, Caitlin Clark is doing that at a level that the women's game has never seen before. The WNBA community is split on how to process this. Some players have come to Wilson's defense, pointing out that she's been carrying the league for years and deserves more respect and compensation. Others have acknowledged that Clark's impact is undeniable and that her ability to bring new money into women's basketball ultimately benefits everyone. But there's tension bubbling under the surface, and it's the kind of tension that could shape the league's future in ways we can't fully predict yet. Here's where everything comes to a head. The EuroLeague contract isn't just about Caitlin Clark getting paid. It's proof that the WNBA's financial structure is broken. If a European league can afford to pay a player $100 million, why is the WNBA still operating under salary caps that keep their best players poor by professional sports standards? The answer is complicated, but it boils down to revenue sharing, ownership structures, and decades of underfunding and undermarketing. Women's sports. Clark's deal exposes this in the most public way possible. It forces the conversation that WNBA players have been trying to have for years, but couldn't get traction on because the numbers weren't dramatic enough. Now the numbers are impossible to ignore. A player who just finished her rookie season is worth more overseas than the entire salary cap of a WNBA team. That's not sustainable. That's not fair. And it's not a model that will keep top talent in the league. A'ja Wilson's reaction is important because she's not just speaking for herself. She's speaking for every player who has dedicated their life to the WNBA, who has been loyal to the league, and who is now watching the market tell them that loyalty doesn't pay. Wilson's frustration is shared by veterans across the league who see Clark's deal and wonder why they're still fighting for crumbs when this kind of money apparently exists for women's basketball. The tension reached a boiling point when Wilson gave an interview where she didn't hold back. She talked about how the financial gap makes her question everything. She talked about how it feels to be told you're the MVP, but also told you're worth 1/10 of a rookie in market value. She talked about how exhausting it is to be the face of a league that can't figure out how to pay its faces properly. And she made it clear that this isn't just about Clark. It's about a system that's failing all of them. Clark, for her part, has handled the situation with maturity. She's acknowledged that she's incredibly fortunate, that she knows her contract is unprecedented, and that she hopes it opens doors for other players. But she's also been clear that she didn't create the financial disparity, she's just the beneficiary of it. And while that's true, it doesn't make the situation any less complicated for players like Wilson who feel left behind. So where does this leave us? Caitlin Clark has a $100 million contract that proves women's basketball has financial potential that nobody fully understood before. A'ja Wilson has every right to be frustrated that her years of dominance and excellence haven't translated to anywhere near that kind of value. The WNBA has a massive problem on its hands because if they can't figure out how to pay their stars what they're worth, they're going to start losing them to overseas leagues that can... This story is bigger than just two players. It's about the future of women's basketball, about how value gets assigned in sports, and about whether the structures that exist can adapt fast enough to keep up with the market forces that are now in play. Clark's contract is a turning point. What happens next will determine whether the WNBA can evolve into a league that actually compensates its players fairly, or whether it becomes a farm system for European leagues that have figured out how to monetize women's basketball in ways America still hasn't. Wilson's reaction is a wake-up call. Her frustration is valid, her questions are important, and her willingness to speak honestly about the financial realities is exactly what the conversation needs. Because if the best players in the league aren't getting paid, if loyalty to the WNBA means sacrificing generational wealth, then the league has to ask itself some very hard questions about what it's actually offering. Caitlin Clark didn't set out to break the system, but her value has exposed every crack that was already there. And now everyone in women's basketball, from the players to the owners to the fans, has to decide what they're going to do about it. The $100 million question isn't just about Clark's contract. It's about whether women's basketball can finally get the investment, respect, and financial structure it deserves. And based on how this situation is unfolding, we're about to find out. If you want to see what happens next in this saga, the next video breaks down the